You are not lazy. Let's destroy that lie right now. You do not lack motivation, and you certainly do not lack the desire to be great. You look at the titans of history, Napoleon, Caesar, the modern CEOs who sleep 4 hours a night and run empires, and you tell yourself they have something you don't. You call it discipline. You call it willpower. You buy planners, you download apps, you watch motivational videos that give you a 3-minute dopamine hit, and then, inevitably, you crash. You revert. You fail, and then the guilt sets in, eating you alive from the inside out. Let me tell you the truth, that the self-help industry is terrified to whisper to you. Discipline is a myth. It is a word we invented to dress up a much darker, much more primal biological reality. The reason you stop when things get hard, the reason you procrastinate, the reason you fold under pressure is not a character flaw. It is a biological mechanism. You don't lack discipline. You lack pain tolerance. Everything you want is on the other side of a sensation you have been trained since birth to avoid. We are going to perform a surgery on your psyche today. We are going to peel back the layers of your social conditioning and look at the raw wiring of your nervous system. By the end of this, you will understand that success is not about doing more. It is about hurting less when you do what is necessary. Consider the nature of the human animal. We are wired for homeostasis. Your body wants to be warm, fed, and safe. When you step out into the cold, your body screams. When you are hungry, your body screams. When you sit down to do deep cognitive work, the kind of work that builds empires, your brain screams. It signals discomfort. It signals pain. And because you are a creature of comfort, you listen to the scream. You pick up the phone. You open the tab. You seek the dopamine. You treat the discomfort of effort as a threat to be neutralized, rather than the price of entry. This is the secret of the Machiavellian mind. The elite, the dangerous few who actually shape the world, they do not have more willpower. They have simply retrained their nervous system to interpret that screaming signal differently. While you feel pain and stop, they feel pain and recognize it as the friction of moving forward. If this concept is already making your skin crawl with the realization of how many times you've let discomfort rule you, hit the like button. It tells the algorithm that you are ready to face the abyss. Let's go deeper. Let's look at the neuroscience of your failure. It lives in the anterior mid-cingulate cortex. This is a tiny part of your brain that scientists have recently pinpointed as the seat of the will to live. When you do something you do not want to do, this area grows, physically grows. When you choose the easy path, it shrinks. Most of you are walking around with a shriveled cortex. You have become allergic to the microdoses of pain required to be a sovereign individual. You see, society is designed to anesthetize you. Comfort is the weapon used to enslave the masses. If you are comfortable, you are compliant. If you are sedated by cheap entertainment, cheap food, and cheap pleasure, you are easy to rule. Napoleon Bonaparte didn't conquer Europe because he had a color-coded calendar. He conquered because he could endure the misery of the march better than his enemies. He could sit in the freezing mud, surrounded by death, and keep his mind crystal clear. His pain tolerance was his superpower. Think about the last time you tried to start a new habit. Going to the gym, perhaps. Day 1 is easy. Day 1 is adrenaline. But day 4 is suffering. Your muscles ache, your schedule is tight, your bed is warm. That sensation you feel, that pull to stay in bed, that is not laziness. That is your nervous system registering a pain spike. Most people treat that pain as a stop sign. They think this feels bad, so I should stop. The masters treat that pain as a toll booth. You pay the toll and you keep driving. We have to reframe your relationship with suffering. You view suffering as an error message. You think that if you were aligned or passionate, it wouldn't hurt. That is the lie of the modern age. Find your passion and you'll never work a day in your life. Absolute garbage. The things you are passionate about will hurt you the most. Michelangelo painting the Sistine Chapel. He wasn't floating on a cloud of artistic bliss. He was in physical agony. Paint dripping into his eyes, his neck cramped, his back spasming. He hated it, He wrote poems about how much he hated it, but he had the tolerance to endure the physical and mental anguish to birth something immortal. If he had stopped when it hurt, we would have a blank ceiling. So how do we apply this? How do we take this dark truth and turn it into a weapon? You must begin by auditing your pain threshold. Where do you break? Do you break when you're hungry? Do you become irritable and useless? Do you break when you're tired? Do you break when you face social awkwardness? Let's talk about social pain, because this is where the Machiavellians truly shine. Most people are terrified of social friction. They cannot handle the pain of an awkward silence. They cannot handle the pain of disapproval. If you are in a negotiation and you state your price, and the other person says nothing, your brain starts to panic. The silence is painful. It triggers the same pathways as physical injury. To relieve that pain, you speak. You lower your price. You fold. The predator, the one sitting across from you, knows this. He is letting the silence hang there like a guillotine. He is enduring the tension because he knows you cannot. He has a higher tolerance for social pain. He wins not because he is smarter, but because he is willing to sit in the fire longer than you are. If you are realizing right now that you have lost money, relationships, and respect because you couldn't handle the tension, leave a comment saying, "I see the strings." Admitting it is the first step to cutting them. We need to look at the concept of delayed gratification through a darker lens. We are told the marshmallow test is cute. Kids waiting for a second marshmallow. But let's look at the adult version. The ability to deny yourself a present pleasure for a future gain is an act of aggression against your own biology. It is a war against your instincts. Your instincts scream, eat the sugar now, sleep now, run away now. To discipline yourself is to become the tyrant of your own mind. You must establish a dictatorship within your own skull. The conscious mind must ruthlessly oppress the lizard brain. This is why you fail. You are trying to be a democracy. You are negotiating with your weakness. You wake up and you ask yourself, do I feel like working out? You are asking a subordinate for permission. You don't ask, you command. But commanding requires you to be willing to inflict discomfort on yourself. You have to become a masochist for your own ambition. Let's look at the dark triad: narcissism, Machiavellianism, psychopathy. We usually frame these as evils, and unchecked they are. But let's extract the utility. The psychopath has a very high pain tolerance because their fear response is dampened. They do not feel the anxiety that paralyzes you. While you are worrying about what if I fail, what if they laugh, the psychopath has already taken the shot. You don't need to be a psychopath, but you need to simulate that lack of fear. You need to train yourself to look at the thing that scares you, the cold call, the public speech, the confrontation, and realize that the physical sensation of fear cannot actually hurt you. It is just cortisol. It is just adrenaline. It is a chemical cocktail. You can drink the cocktail and still move. This brings us to the concept of the callus. When you work with your hands, the skin rips. It bleeds. It hurts. But if you keep working, the skin grows back thicker. It becomes hard. It becomes insensitive. This is a callus. You need to callus your mind. You do this through microdoses of suffering. This is the practical application. You don't start by running a marathon. You start by taking a cold shower. Why? Not for the health benefits, though they exist, but for the psychological training. Standing in freezing water is painful. Every fiber of your being wants to step out. Staying in that water is a rep for your pain tolerance muscle. You are teaching your brain, we feel pain and we stay. Then you apply it to your phone. The urge to check a notification is a pain signal. It is the pain of curiosity, the pain of missing out. Resist it for 10 minutes. Sit there and stare at the wall. Endure the boredom. Boredom is a type of pain. It is the pain of understimulation. In a world of constant stimulation, the man who can endure boredom is a king. He is the only one capable of deep thought. Think about the manipulators we study in dark psychology. Gaslighters, narcissists. How do they break their victims? They apply pressure. They apply confusion. They create an environment of constant emotional pain. The victim breaks because they just want the pain to stop. They agree to the lie They accept the abuse just to relieve the tension. But what happens if the victim has a high pain tolerance? What happens if you can sit in that confusion, sit in that emotional pressure cooker, and not flinch? The manipulator loses their power. You become unmanipulatable. When they try to guilt trip you, you feel the guilt, but you don't act on it. You hold the line. You look them in the eye and say no. You endure the discomfort of their anger. Your lack of discipline is actually a vulnerability to manipulation. If you cannot control your own pain response, someone else will control it for you. They will dangle comfort in front of you like a carrot, and you will follow. Corporations do this. They sell you convenience. They sell you comfort. They say don't cook, order this. Don't walk, ride this. Don't think, watch this. They are eroding your tolerance for effort. They are making you soft, pliable, and weak. Resistance is an act of rebellion. Let's look at the history of those who transgressed the laws of their nature. Look at the Stoics. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of Rome. He had the world at his feet. He could have lived in absolute hedonism, yet he chose to sleep on the floor. He chose to eat simple food. He chose to work while others feasted. Why? Because he knew that luxury is a cage. He was practicing poverty so that he would not fear it. He was increasing his tolerance for deprivation. If you fear being poor, you will be a slave to your paycheck. If you fear being alone, you will be a slave to toxic relationships. If you fear hunger, you will be a slave to your appetite. Freedom is found in the capacity to endure what others cannot. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds miserable. I want to be happy. And here is the greatest paradox of all. The people who chase happiness directly never find it. They find pleasure, fleeting and hollow. But deep satisfaction, that is found in the overcoming of resistance. The dopamine released when you finish a task that was painful is infinitely sweeter than the dopamine of a video game. It is earned. It changes your neurochemistry. It builds testosterone. It builds confidence. Confidence is simply the memory of having survived difficult things. If you have never tested your pain threshold, you cannot be confident because you do not know what you are capable of enduring. So how do we train this? We stop calling it discipline. We call it the training. Every time you feel resistance, you must visualize it as a weight in the gym. The resistance to get out of bed, that's a weight. The resistance to speak up in a meeting, that's a weight. The resistance to put down the junk food, that's a weight. You don't say, I wish this was easier. You say, this is heavy. Good. There is a concept in psychology called cognitive reappraisal. It's the ability to change the emotional meaning of a stimulus. When you feel the burn of effort, you usually label it as bad. I want you to relabel it as weakness leaving the body. Relabel it as power accumulating. The most dangerous people on earth are not the ones who are naturally talented. They are the ones who have learned to eat glass and stare into the abyss without blinking. Think of Joseph Weil, the Yellow Kid, a master con artist. He didn't succeed because he was lucky. He succeeded because he had the patience to set up a con for months. He could endure the tension of the long game. He could handle the stress of living a lie every single second of every single day. That is a twisted form of discipline, but it is discipline nonetheless. It is pain tolerance. Or look at the seducer, the dark seducer. They create anxiety in their target. They withdraw attention. They create a void. The target feels the pain of that void and rushes to fill it with affection/submission. The seducer wins because they can tolerate the distance. The target loses because they cannot tolerate the absence of validation. If you want to be the one in control, you must be the one who needs less, the one who can hurt more. Subscribe if you want to learn how to weaponize your mind, because the next lesson is going to take apart the very structure of your belief systems. Let's reflect on the morality of this. Is it wrong to be hard? Is it wrong to be cold? Society tells you to be soft, to be vulnerable, and there is a place for that with the people you trust. But to the world, to the marketplace, to the enemy, vulnerability is a death sentence. You must build a fortress around your mind, and the walls of that fortress are built out of the things you have endured. There is a Japanese term, misogi. It is a purification ritual. often involving standing under an icy waterfall. It is about washing away the softness of the spirit through physical intensity. You need a daily misogi. You need something every day that sucks. Maybe it's a hard run. Maybe it's studying a complex subject for 2 hours without checking your phone. Maybe it's fasting. Pick your poison, but drink it daily. When you do this, you begin to separate yourself from the herd. You look around and you see people complaining about the weather, complaining about the traffic, complaining about their coffee order, and you realize these people are fragile. One strong wind would blow them over. But you are rooting yourself in the bedrock of reality. Reality is harsh. Reality does not care about your feelings. Reality respects force, and force is generated by the will. The will is not free. The will is a muscle that must be torn down to be built up. I want you to try an experiment for the next 24 hours. It's called the No Comfort Challenge. For 24 hours, if you have a choice between 2 options, you must choose the one that is physically or mentally harder. Stairs or elevator? Stairs. Warm water or cold? Cold. Speak or stay silent? Speak. Easy food or healthy food? Healthy. Watch how your mind rebels. Watch the excuses flood in. It doesn't matter just this once. I'm tired. I'll start tomorrow. That voice. That is the voice of the slave. That is the voice of the victim. You need to strangle that voice. You need to look it in the eye and say, I run this body, not you. As you do this, you will notice something strange. The pain. It stops bothering you. It's still there, but it loses its emotional charge. It becomes data. My legs hurt. Okay. Data received. Continue marching. I am hungry. Okay. Data received. Continue working. This is the state of flow that the samurai sought. This is the state of mind that Sun Tzu wrote about. When the mind is still, even in the midst of chaos, you think you lack discipline because you are comparing your internal struggle to everyone else's external highlight reel. You think successful people just love the grind. They don't. They just hate being mediocre more than they hate the pain of work. It is a calculation. Pain of discipline vs. pain of regret. The pain of discipline is acute. It burns, but it passes. The pain of regret is chronic. It is a low-level hum of misery that never goes away. It rots your soul. Which pain do you want? You have to choose one. You cannot opt out of pain. Life is suffering. Buddha said it. Nietzsche said it. You can suffer towards a purpose, or you can suffer in the void of meaninglessness. The choice is yours. Drop a brain emoji in the comments if you are effectively rewiring your nervous system right now. Let's pivot to the defensive aspect again. We talked about resisting manipulators, but what about resisting the ultimate manipulator? The media, the system. They profit from your lack of pain tolerance. They sell you pills for your anxiety, debt for your envy, and distraction for your boredom. They need you to be weak. They need you to be unable to sit alone in a room. Because if you could sit alone, if you could endure the silence, you might start thinking. And if you start thinking, you might start seeing the cage. By increasing your pain tolerance, you are opting out of the consumer matrix. You don't need their comfort. You are self-sufficient. This is the ultimate freedom. The Stoic philosopher Seneca was one of the richest men in Rome, but he would spend days living like a pauper, eating crusts of bread and wearing rags. He would ask himself, is this the condition I feared? When you expose yourself to what you fear, discomfort, you realize it is not a monster. It is a shadow. You don't lack discipline. You lack the courage to face the shadow. So here is your prescription. Stop looking for hacks. Stop looking for the easy way. The easy way is a trap. The hard way is the shortcut. Train your nervous system like you train a dog. When it obeys, when it endures, you reward it, not with food, but with the satisfaction of victory. When it rebels, you tighten the leash. You are the master. You are the strategist. Your body and your mind are simply the armies you command. Do not let the soldiers tell the general what to do. This is not about being cruel to yourself. It is about demanding the greatness that is encoded in your DNA. Evolution did not spend millions of years forging you into the apex predator just for you to cry, because the Wi-Fi is slow. Wake up. Embrace the friction. Embrace the heat. The The fire is where the steel is forged. Do not pray for an easy life. Pray for the strength to endure a difficult one. And remember, the most dangerous person in the room is not the one with the biggest muscles or the loudest voice. It is the one who can smile while they bleed. Go out there and bleed, and like the video, because the algorithm needs to know that the wolves are waking up.